Hello, this is Daniel Veillon with the Daniel Veillon Gazette pod. I did a post yesterday I remember now, where I asked people what they wanted to hear more of, and two people voted on classic pro wrestling. Thank you for that, the people who voted, and I'm gonna be honest. I I want it to be different than how I usually do things, but I understand that you're supposed to stick with what works for you, and wrestling has always worked for me because that's what I know better than anything else. So if y'all don't like my me talking about sports, then I won't talk about that. But I will however say what I think about the team in the semifinals of the playoffs that I was talking about. The Dallas Stars being in the semifinals and of the Stanley Cup semifinals of the Stanley Cup finals is the fact that they haven't been there since for 5 years. I'd say that's a big deal for them. However, I don't know. I don't know how new of a team they are, and I don't know if they've won or lost. If they've won or lost at the Stanley Cup Finals, so because I'm not as I did not take my time to read about the history of the Stanley Cup Finals like I did the NBA Finals. So that's why I'm not as certain about the teams that won the Stanley Cup, however, I do remember that just about every team in the NHL won the Stanley Cup Finals at least once. So that should not be a surprise that the Dallas Stars came that close 5 years ago. It would be more of a surprise if one team did not go at all. That would be a bigger surprise because I can think of almost all of the 30 teams, just about all of the teams in the NHL have gone at least 5 times or more, and I've won about 4 or 5 times or more. So it's not really. This should not be a surprise if you read about the history of National Hockey League and NBA. However, what I would want to keep a record of in history would be baseball, because ever since I was a kid, I always loved either playing baseball or watching baseball. Then then I found out my dad and uncle used to coach baseball when my dad first married was married was first married to my mom. She used to take she used to take the score. She used to write down the runs. I think she said recently, and that was amazing to me because even I used to play baseball in PE, so I used to always love playing baseball in PE, and I used to remember the first time I saw my cousins play was, I think, as a kid, and I just loved it. So, and I played baseball in PE in school. I loved it too. This is what I used to say. That's what I used to say to myself. If I went through regular schooling and if I had two kidneys, I would have wanted to play basketball and baseball. If I had a chance of playing more than one sport, I think I would have picked baseball and basketball because I liked both of them. Football is a great sport if you're a fan of it and if you have the skill for it. But if you're like me, where you were afraid of getting knocked down, which is ironic because I always wanted to take a bump in the ring, but I guess my dad told me that wrestling was not real. I guess I thought that it was easier than when somebody tackles you on the football field. Now, if anybody is curious about what I've decided to do in wrestling when the time is right, well, I've decided I decided to become a manager because thank you, Father God. You know, the time is right. Decided to be a manager because I I know how often a referee gets knocked down and they sometimes suffer injury as much as the wrestlers do. So I thought, well, I already don't know if I can take a bump. So, and if even if I could take a bump, I don't want to. I want to spend the whole time they're in the middle of a match having to jump down and make a count. I don't even know if I can jump down to do that and get back up. So that's why I decided to be a manager because I think it's I think I'm more suited to be a manager than any other thing. Well, at least when it comes to the main part of the show, and that is the ringside area. Um, Tonight is the return Saturday night's main event. I remember last time they had one was in November, I believe. And I have to admit, when they brought this back, I wasn't sure if it was gonna pick up traction, but it has. By the way, one of the stars appearing tonight in the audience is the Native American Tatanka. He's gonna be there with his wife and two kids. And what came to my mind is how it's exactly today's the 24th, I believe. No, yeah, today's the 24th. So it's exactly 2 weeks before Tatanka's birthday. That's what I was thinking of. And I know that because we have the same birthday, June 8th. I'm being reminded of how my bonus videos I talk about my favorite match types like the Battle Royal or War Games or the Casket match, for instance. And they actually have an entire collection for match types. Like, let's say you're a fan of the three-way. They have a collection of triple threat matches. That if you like Elimination Chamber, like myself and my cousin's son do, then they have one for Elimination Chamber. Besides the cage match and War Games and Elimination Chamber, which is like a cage in itself, with pods rolling in and out. Well, besides that, and I also said I love the Battle Royal. Well, ladder match, because I always liked seeing them unstrap the title and take it off in order to win the match. That's why I always liked the ladder match. I don't necessarily like the brutality of it because that's still or metal that your body's getting hit with. I was never really a big fan of the brutality of it, but I was always a fan of the of them climbing up the ladder to retrieve the title. So that would be something I would talk about. That would be a gimmick match I would talk about along with War Games. Battle Royal, or yeah, I did mention Battle Royals also. If you like Falls Count Anywhere, there's a collection for that. If you like Tables Match, there's a collection for that. They have a collection for Money in the Bank. If you liked the intrigue of I Quit, to see the different ways that people can get someone to say I quit, then there's a collection for that. Then you have a collection of The Last Man or Woman Standing, Hell in a Cell, Iron Man, Gauntlet, Ambulance, and Chairs. So I just wanted to share that with y'all because I didn't really have a topic in mind. I just thought I would talk from the heart. And by the way, the best way of saying or explaining why I want to be a manager is when I was a kid. Y'all know, yeah, I uploaded some videos in another channel. My favorite storyline. So my favorite storyline was between a female manager and a male promoter / manager. The reason I liked it was because it was funny, it was innocent, it wasn't overly dramatic, and they did not digress from the wrestling aspect. Despite it being about a love storyline, they didn't make it overly dramatic. They didn't make it, thank you for the 2 thumbs up and the 2 watches on this live video so far. And please leave a comment. I would like to know what y'all think. Thank you. But the reason I liked it so much, not only was it comedic, not only was it funny, but I would always ask myself, especially when I would watch videos of the female manager in the WWE, that being Sensational Sherry. When I would watch videos of her, I would often wonder to myself, why is this the only time when we see and I don't want to say that the right way. Instead of it being one-sided, why did it take so long to see a story where we really got to see how good she was at acting? Because it evolved from her wanting to, um, I'll just say beat up, which makes it even funnier if you've seen how tall and how big the man is. When Sherry went from wanting to beat up the man in the story to all of a sudden being in love with him, I thought that was good. And, I really, I've said this before, if you're like me, where you're just amazed at storytelling, people um, told me I'm good at acting, but I don't know if I could tell a story like that. That's always been something that's been very intimidating to me. So to even imagine that. However, when you study what acting really is, then you really realize that telling a story is mainly, in theory, responding to what's going on around you. If there's anything I could take from my favorite story, it's learning how to respond to what you're a part of. Like, the man's character name was Parker. If you watch WCW in the mid '90s, you'll even remember him. He was dressed like he was Colonel Sanders. He admitted to a degree that he was supposed to be a blowhard in his character. So when they started the story, it was like, you've got to be kidding. But they were so good together that you were like, well, they definitely have chemistry. So I can understand why they went that way with the story, because they're perfect together. But as far as the character, Parker's character in itself, if it was real life, you would know it would not work, because he was too. He actually insulted her just to make sure she came out. So the best way I could say it would be this: if you are interested in someone, of course it wouldn't be. It would have probably killed the story, but because it was funny, that's why it worked. It was designed to be funny. It wasn't designed to be serious. However, what I thought to myself was, if I was in Parker's shoes, and I wanted cli my clients to get noticed, like this woman's team is getting noticed, I would only I would have wanted to I wouldn't I would have wanted to ask them to come out to politely talk to them. If I honestly thought I stood a chance with someone beautiful like Sherry was, I wouldn't want to insult her. And then you call yourself a Southern gentleman? That made it even funnier. I'd say that him calling himself a Southern gentleman was the selling point of the story. But anyway, I was trying to remember all the shows I spoke about on here. Territories. That's why I'll go to territories. I spoke about Mid Atlantic. The next show we'll talk about, excuse me, is October 31st, 1981. First, I see Bob Caudle and David Crockett are wearing headsets instead of talking with microphones. Up to this point, I don't only remember them using microphones to talk into. So I'm glad to see they're wearing headsets because that always I thought looked more sports like. Even when you watch mixed martial arts, even though they do hold the microphone a lot, there's a lot of times where you'll see a headset or something. So that's why I think headsets look better. Charlie Fulton is facing Nature Boy Buddy Landell right here. I think Buddy just turned the hammerlock into one of his own on his opponent right here. Charlie Fulton definitely going against Buddy Landell. He wasn't Nature Boy yet. He had dark hair right here. Let's see. He's going for a trip at first. Gets out of it into one of his own. Looks like he's cinching it in. He gets out of it though. Looks like an armbar right here on a on Buddy Landell. He overpowered Charlie into take him down into an armbar, traditional armbar, till Charlie put him in head scissors, and that really broke the momentum. As Buddy got out of it, stand far apart from each other. Lock up. Wrist lock by Buddy tightens it. This time goes for a right elbow from Charlie. All that does is irritate Buddy to where he put it even tighter, even hit the back of the rotator cuff with his elbow to tighten it even further. Gets pulled. Oh, from face like it looked like. Ooh, once again, cranks that arm with that wrist and arm together. This time he has to break it because he's being pulled into the ropes by Charlie Fulton. Okay, that's mock up When Facelock takes down Buddy Landale. Went for a cover, kick out before even a 1 count. But he gets up, goes back to that wrist lock. Goes that traditional armbar where it's almost like a snapmare, but instead of pushing off with the head and neck and flipping him, he just took him down, rolled him over, did like almost like a head scissors. But instead, it looks like he's focusing on the armbar. Yeah, that's what he's doing, all right. Just got out of it, did Charlie, and even tripped him. But he gets kicked by Buddy. He gets kicked by Buddy to get out of it. Landell gets to his feet. He stopped himself because he realized Charlie was waiting for a arm drag. So he just stopped. He stopped himself to see what else he could do. Test of strength, it looks like, is what they're going for here. Let's see. They're talking about Sergeant Slaughter in the middle of this. That he's still the U.S. heavyweight champion. One of the contenders could be not just these two men against each other, Fulton and Landale, but also trying to think who else they could have mentioned. Oh yeah, could have also been Rowdy Piper or Rowdy Piper, Abdullah the Butcher, Ole Anderson, Jimmy Valiant. That's who it was. Handsome Jimmy Valiant. Somebody, as they're saying this, Charlie Fulton hit a backbreaker on Buddy Landale. Kick out by Buddy, so he hit him with a scoop slam. That's what he does here. Didn't even hook the leg that time. So real big mistake on Charlie. Snapmare takedown. Goes for a rear chin lock. Another person that these two would be a good caliber to face to go into the division of champions would be the TV title. Outlaw Ron Bass. I think he was Outlaw Ron Bass at this time. He was US TV champion for about a month, I think, or a month and a week. So that's what would have made him. That's what would have made either of these two a good person to challenge Ron Bass for that title. As somebody who has not only watched wrestling for most of my life, since I've been about 3 years old, but I've also had my father talk to me about it and my uncle talk to me about it. So this is just me just saying what I would like, what I hope they're able to do in the indies in the future is reestablish time limits and rules. And I understand that there's no need for them not to use mats because people know this is not a sport anymore. People know that it's not a sport at all, it's a show. But I think time limits are because it helps. I believe it helps the story better if you have at least 2 to 4 men, because I believe even tag team matches used to have a time limit. So it makes these 2 men or 4 men getting in the ring, trying to get in the rankings to the titles, to challenge for the titles, and having time limits as well as actual wins and loss records that they tally off on TV, then if I was able to book or suggest something to the creative team, I would suggest using time limits, and I would explain to them why time limits are so important, and I would let them know right off the bat. Yes, I know how boring time limits can appear to be, but if you pay attention to how the NWA used the TV title, time limits for the TV title, and how that helped them reestablish the TV title and the importance of the TV title. If I was to do anything like that, I would explain to them why time limits are so important and why doing a time limit instead of an Iron Man match, or instead of having a best falls win, which is what Iron Man is. So in other words, I would tell them that Vince McMahon was not big on the sports part. He was only big on the entertainment part, and the fans, over 20 years of sitting through that, they got tired of the entertainment aspect. They wanted this. They wanted some focus on sport like elements like time limits. Boxing and kickboxing and mixed martial arts, even though they're real sports, they're still combat sport. So if you look at it in a combat way, you can see that time limits really are what sets wrestling apart from TV shows, movies, and plays. Because when you add time limits, you're actually giving people, not just are you giving fans something to see besides just a match, you're giving the wrestlers something to deliver to the fans. Um, Perfect illustration of this is how Arn Anderson, anytime he was TV champion, he always made the TV title important because he managed to keep the title without having to go to the draw. And he was always very credible no matter what title he won. So if you're going to look at creating stars through championships, like Jake the Snake said in an interview once, then that would be a perfect way to start. the TV title because, especially with the the restarting of territories like NXT and Evolve and TNA together, I'm not sure if we could call that a territory yet, but it's got the feeling of the old territory system. And NWA restarted their territory system, I think last year sometime, and I think they added 5 states to their territory. So it's a real exciting time, not just to watch wrestling, not only to watch, and not only in watching NWA and in watching wrestling itself, the WWE and TNA, but it's exciting to get started because, as I'm saying, that Buddy Landell just I think he just hit a gut wrench suplex after a back body drop. Charlie Fulton, perfect execution, hooks a leg, 2, 3, wins the match. They show the closing minutes of the match. I think it was, Charlie ran his forehead and his left shoulder into the gut of Buddy. Irish ripped him into the corner. He even hit Buddy in the gut with the knee. The mistake was he went for another Irish whip and it was reversed on him. Then back body drop and the gut wrench suplex for the finish. They have a Ace Hardware commercial airing in this advertisement. About a year ago, I started planting outside because of something I was always interested in doing. And when I look at Ace Hardware, I realize that's one of the stores I can go to get my. I can go either to Ace, or I could go to the Home Depot, or Lowe's, or Walmart. So this really is something I can do, not just because I enjoy it, but it's something I really get excited about and invested in. Because literally invested in it because you have to buy the plants, you have to sometimes buy newer pots to put them in or planters to put them in and things like that. I'll be honest. It was the first time I ever planted anything at the house. So I was more amazed more than anything at how well I understood planting. So that's one thing that always excites me is when I can see how well I potentially can do something. Now, the reason I share that is because I wanted to fill up space while there's an advertisement. They come back from that advertisement and you have Jake the Snake Roberts and the Chief Wahoo McDaniel being interviewed by Caudle and David Crockett. Let's see. They're talking about a tag title match that happened. It was Ole and Gene Anderson were still together, so they're defending the NWA World Tag Titles, I believe. And there was discrepancy in the entire match, and it was mainly by the champions, Ole and Gene Anderson. I don't even think Arn Anderson, whose real name is Marty Lundy, I don't even think Marty Lundy started training yet. So this was long before Marty Lundy was an Anderson. So that's interesting to see. He said that Gene Anderson came out with a mask, took it off to reveal he was Gene. Before that happened, he was underneath the ring. So that, psychologically speaking, it's great storytelling because it makes you wonder what other tricks can they pull, and that was the point Jake made right here. So he doesn't know when it happened, and he doesn't care how it happened. Doesn't matter how it happened; it just happened. And then he clarified his position where he said he watched the film. He said he was digging in his tights. Next thing he knew, Paul Jones is laid out and Gene Anderson. He said he must have hit yeah, definitely he hit Paul Jones with the head, but it was enough to knock him out. So he said, I know you're not that one headbutt's not enough to knock him out. So right here he took his hat off to make his point. He said if you want to hit somebody over the head with your head, here's one head. Come on, let's do it. Said he was knocked down at the end of that match. He said, I think he said something really disgusted him about the finish. He was knocked down at the end of that match. He said, here's what's really eating up my heart. Knocked down, and I heard a voice saying, match is already over. Match was already over? Said he's looking at Paul Jones, who was obviously his tag partner. Said he was laid out, his eyes were floating in the back of his head. Said, I hear, okay, Ole Anderson, me, and I hear a voice saying, get him. He said, first thing I thought was, they're coming after me. You know, I'm trying to come up and in the ring, and I looked and they are dragging Paul Jones up like a piece of flesh, man. Just laying there defenseless. They're talking about whipping people. Well, you can't do that, man. It's got to come to an end. I think that's his point right here. Is no matter whatever he has to get to help him, he wants to stop whatever muck they're trying to run here. And David had to say, sorry to interrupt, but there's parts of this tape that we're not going to show. And back in these days, because of the gruesomeness of blood and the brutality like that, if there was any bloodshed, they would block it out. So I think it was too much to block out. That's why they don't want to show that much what was happening. And Bo said the way I see it is this way. Said I've got a little more experience. Could be upset because they could have won the world's championship. They're fighting 3 against 2. I know that everybody else does. Say said I'm gonna say this. He said we're gonna have another chance. Said he's not saying he's the right person, but he said that they're gonna win. I think that it's definitely they're gonna win. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying we're gonna win. I'm saying this: I beat Anderson probably more times with more different partners than anybody. So I know. I think he said, "I know you are hot. I know you're upset, no less. Just a little bit inexperienced. But you will learn when you fight the Andersons. Wait, when you fight the Andersons their way, they are gonna fight on their terms on their own battlefield. The thing is just relax. Don't get upset. Don't get very upset because we will get our licks in there. Our time will come." Hmm. Yeah, they had to cut a lot of portions out. Show Jake tagging in Paul Jones. Really in control at this point. Yeah, it was definitely a mask because that was the only way to headbutt Paul Jones with an object without getting caught. Scoop slam from Paul Jones or chinlock. Every person was in this mask really worked really well here. He tripped Paul Jones, gave him a perfect position for a hammerlock. Then he tags in Oli when the hammerlock was put on him by Paul. Let's see. Goes for hammerlock himself. Paul's trying to get to his corner. Okay, actually makes the tag right there to Jake. Side headlock takedown to Oli. Let's see. Okay, tags back in his partner in the mask. Lefts and rights to Jake. Ooh, right hand into the gut. Irish whip. Picks him up. Picks him up so that he can let him fall. Tags back in. Oli comes in there with an elbow. Looks like 2. Kick out by Jake. Puts Jake's forehead into the boot of his tag partner. Let's see. I got him in an arm bar on his left arm. Arm drag goes Jake, but the masked assailant comes in Tags assaults him from the back, but he obviously made a tag, so he's the legal man. Referee's telling Ole to get in his corner, and that's Tommy Young, I believe. Ooh, double throw thrust like that with his hands. I believe that's a thrust. Just hit Jake in the gut with his right hand. He's going for a bear hug now. Right hand to the face of the masked assailant. Tags in Ole, though. Stopped Ben Jake from making a tag. Okay. Had to break before the count of 3 because it would be too close to 5. Now they could have let the 5 count come and keep the belts by disqualification, but they obviously didn't want to do that. So that's why they got back in their corner. It's just spending more time. Ole is working on the left arm and shoulder of Jay the Snake. Right hand at times. Masked assailant tags in, was tagged in by Ole. And it goes in there after that goes after that left arm into a hammerlock by Masked Man on Jake. Let's see. Excuse me. I'm glad I'm watching this. I just realized even by this time he was called the Snake. And he had a picture of the snake slithering on his boots. Irish whip blocks that hip toss, gives the masked assailant a hip toss of his own. Masked assailant tags out to Ole. Held on to Jake's boots, he won't jump. Make a tag. And by Ole. This is that elbow, and he tag. That's when Jake tagged in Paul Jones. Left and right. Tags out to the assailant. Masked assailant gets it with an Irish whip by Paul. Back body drop. Right hand tags back out to Ole. Jay comes in to help out. Even gave him the Mr. Wrestling 2 knee lift. And you can see, just like Jake said, another masked man came out. Switch places with the man in red. He tags in this man was completely different. He's dressed completely different in the rest of his attire. You can see he's going for a pair of brass knucks or something. Puts it in his mask headbutt, just like Jake said. 1, 2, 3 to keep the titles. Yeah, that was the masked superstar, all right. He said, when it's all said and done, Ole Anderson, your mouth is going to be hanging down like a man going to the marketplace. Mm-hmm. He said, sooner or later we're going to get a chance, and we're just asking for one chance. And it looks like the Andersons are gonna show up later on with the titles to have a match. See what happens next. Because it's the first time I see them. They're doing a commercial about Dos Equis and Metro. We have a minute left of advertisement before they go back to Atlantic. This is unusual. It's unusual because they have a balloon carrying looks like to be a a gas pump, the entire gas what they put the gas pump inside of. It looks like the entire machine was connected to the balloon that it was flying in the air. And while that was happening, a Metro bag that stands for Metro cell phone company. Oh, so yes, it's Gene and Ole Anderson with their titles. I thought they were going to get in the ring. I just think they're cutting a promo myself. Gene claimed that even McDaniel and Roberts could not handle them. Well, as big and as strong as they were, what they were, like Jim Ross said once about Double A, the one who was really the toughest Andersons was Double A. Gene and Ole, oh man, they could not match. I mean, I know Ole taught Arn a lot of things, but Ole never looked tough. He just looked mean. Arn looked tough. He looked like he was literally beating someone up. And whereas you don't have to be tough to be a bully, you do have to be pretty tough for it to go back and forth instead of just being one-sided. So I would say that Arn is tougher in that area. Ole's entire rest of this is him saying that ain't nobody's gonna beat them for the titles. And it's just that simple. Well, I look back at this and I just think how there's a lot of things that were done in those days and even a little bit today that just by watching it, and I don't know if it was just by instinct or if it's just personality I have, but I've always, my dad told me and my mom this a few years ago. I've always been good at studying wrestling, and I thank the Lord above that I've had that ability because it helps me understand what has happened and how it can affect not just today but even the future. Jimmy Valiant. He's somebody we don't see a lot of in today's wrestling. As a matter of fact, the closest we could see to Jimmy Valiant would be to watch a video of the Surfer Sting because he was a little bit like Jimmy Valiant in that respect. There's constant buffering, so I had to hit exit to check the connection on the TV. Connection should be a strong connection because I checked it the other day. Okay, yes. Jimmy Valiant was going against a man, I'm not really sure the name of his opponent, but he teamed up a couple of times to go against Steamboat and Jay Youngblood, I believe. He was really getting really a good advantage over his opponent here. Back up into the ropes. Forearm by his opponent, but he comes back with a big right hand. Ooh, it takes him down. Working over the left clavicle muscle, or should I say collarbone of his opponent. Opponent got out of it with an elbow, but gives him a first right hand, then or forearm, and then an eye rake. Put his opponent to the corner by his forehead. But his opponent's coming with rights and lefts. And the more his opponent's hitting him, the more he's getting fired up and he's dancing around. Comes back with a right hand. Irish whip to his opponent. Elbow. Knocks him down. Elbow. Standing elbow. Cover. Hooks the leg. 2, 3. Wins the match. It's a commercial. It's a 60-second commercial or advertisement. And this looks like they're at a fair. This man and potentially his granddaughter. And every time she throws the ball, she's hitting the object. Oh, this is about Dish. Then they do then they're advertising a Nintendo Switch. Hmm. Let's see. There's a man called Ninja with a mask on, and I'm not sure what he's holding. Could be a sword on his in his left hand. I don't know about what he has in his right hand. This must be his manager's about to talk for him. Mr. Holiday's called. Mr. Holiday is kind of doing like Paul Ellering, where he's about to read in a newspaper. He said he would like to enlighten the Mid-Atlantic area with a newspaper article. So let me tell you just a minute here and read just a little bit that's about the ninja. He didn't want anybody calling him Kabuki because he is a ninja. Said something about electronic poison darts and the James Bond School of Dirty Tricks. Japanese had developed the science of espionage and murder for hire that makes some modern day practitioners look like mumblers. These men are called ninjas, men of stealth, masters of disguise, masters of illusion, and masters at sleight hand. This man has the ability to flip, tumble, and gyrate to like acrobats. They can scatter powder. They can scatter powders as a smoke screen or overpower an adversary with a swift physical blow. Now you've heard what the paper says. Watch what we can do. If I had to guess, I would say that this is not the Kabuki. This is Muda before he was the Great Muda. That's what I would guess. Mm-hmm. His opponent is Mike Davis. Mr. Holiday's first name is Jim. Now he's taking that mask off of him, it looks like. Or if not taking it off, looks like, yeah, he's about to take it off. This might be Muda for a whole. This may be Kabuki for all we know. Oh no, he's keeping it on. It's just, we can see a little bit of his face. He's just not suffocating like we thought he was. Now let's see how much martial arts ability he shows here. See a lock of, I think that was like a thrust and then a forearm over the back of the neck of Mike Davis. They puts his forehead into the corner, turnbuckle pad, then he knocks him down with a straight chop like that. Then he hits him with the right hand to keep him down. Ooh, a chop like Ric Flair does. Keeps him down right there. Let's see. Ooh, kick to the almost to the ribs, if not directly on the ribs. Ooh, leg drop. Let's see. He tells the fans he just kicked the ninja just kicked him in the forehead. He told the audience not to call him Kabuki, his manager did. But what does he do? He's got Kabuki written on the right side of his tights. Kicked him in the chest again. Let's see what the ninja does here. Ooh, that chop over the. I believe that's where the shoulder blades are located. Oh, he's hitting him so hard he's bleeding. Ooh, gory. Gruesome. And even though he's hitting with everything he has, Kabuki or the ninja's too much for him. That right-handed chop, Irish whip. Ooh, that chop across the chest. He goes for an eye rake with his foot. That's what it looks like. It looks like the same effect. Kick to the side of the face. That should do it. But he goes in the corner. He's about to jump from the middle rope. Headbutt. Perfectly executed. Hooks the leg. 2, 3. He wins the match. Show replay of the closing moments. There's commercial break here. Not sure what it's about. It's a Heineken commercial. What I was amazed at is how Heineken has. I thought Heineken was the only beer product that has zero alcohol, but no, it's got light that has zero alcohol, and then you have regular Heineken that has 100% alcohol. So that was interesting to me. As a matter of fact, it's interesting to me how many beer products have zero alcohol in them. So that's really interesting to me because I would often think to myself, is there a way to have beer without alcohol? And I would often think to myself, I wonder how that's possible. However, they end the commercial or advertisement and out is Ricky Steamboat handing a championship belt. Mid-Atlantic champion. Can only guess or assume that that's the Mid-Atlantic heavyweight title, which in Mid-Atlantic would be like a regional world title. When I say regional, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying it's not worth anything. It's worth a lot to the territory. But if all you know is national wrestling or global wrestling, like what WWE became, you may not know the importance of this championship. They just asked him what he thought about that quote ninja, and he said, "It's obvious those chops are very, very devastating. It's been leveling a lot of the guys in this area." He said right here on the TV. He said, "But there's something I'm wondering." He said, "I thought Halloween was on the 31st, huh?" He said, "You're right," said to Ricky. He said, "Halloween's on the 31st, right?" I guess probably in the near future, that guy's maybe having his eyes or that kind of a mask in my direction, because I know he's heard that I also do the martial arts in the ring. He said because of that, he'll probably have his sights. He knows that I use martial arts skills, so he probably has his eyes set on my title. So, like I've often said on TV, Bob, got an open contract, and it's open to anybody who like to wrestle anytime, anywhere. Out comes Leroy Brown, big, scary looking. But when he had that smile like that, you could see that aside from physicality he was going to dish out, he was not really a harm to people. He doesn't look like he could be mean in any way. He said, "I got good news for you, Sergeant Slaughter. I want you to listen and listen well. The big man is on your trail. When I get on a man trail, I don't stop until I get him one way or the other." Now, Slaughter been going around here talking a lot, riding over people, stepping on a lot of people, because, like on people's smaller hills. Well, I'm going to see you step on the big man, and I'm going to see you talking about Marines, and he a Marine. Oh, I'll tell you what, Marines are tough, but I think deep down within you that your true name is not Slaughter. And I don't know what he said after that, because in parentheses they put indistinct. So I'll take the sound. I'll unmute it so that I'll hear what he said. But I think deep down within you, that your true name is not Slaughter, but Gomer Powell. So he said he thinks his real name is not Slaughter, but Gomer Pyle. Right. So he told Slaughter to get ready. That's it, here, this guy looks like he is part of the Russians. He's got the USSR headband around his head. Chris with a K, Markov. And this is a championship match. He weighs 265 pounds. And he's a champion of some kind. He had to take his belt off, hand it to his manager. He's going against the NWA World TV Champion, Ron Bass. He's from Texas. Bass takes off his vest and his cowboy hat. He's about to take off his chaps and the belts. This is, I believe, a 10-minute Time limit match for the TV title. By the way, if y'all are looking to lower your, I don't advertise for anybody officially. I just recently found out that Cricket Wireless is a better option in hearing people over the phone. So if you're looking to cut down on your cell phone bill, Cricket Wireless, my brother told me the other night that Cricket Wireless is better in the reception part of the phone. So if you're looking to cut down, just go to Cricket, and I'm sure it would be better service than a lot of other options out there, and you wouldn't have to pay that much money. That's saying, okay, Chris got Ron Bass the side headlock. He blocked whatever takedown Ron was going for to get him in an armbar. Then he pulls him down by the hair. Ron gets back to his feet, though, going into the ropes. Oh, it works on that left arm, but he's forgetting Ron has the other arm to fight with. Gets him in the corner, though. He hits him with the head, but not slowing down Ron, though. He's coming back at him with rights, one after the other. Ooh. Irish whip. Oh, hits him with the knee into the face, it looks like. That's the only thing that slowed down Ron. Then, scoop slam. Cover to kick out by Ron. Irish whip. Knee into the gut of Ron. Let's see. 1, 2, kick out by Ron. Let's see. Gonna try to cheat here, but Chris gets caught by the referee. Let's see. Starts working over the little bit of the left leg of Ron by kicking it. Gets him into the corner though, and he headbutts him. Ron hits him with the right hand. Ooh, headbutt again. Right hand. Let's see. Forearm over the back of the neck of Ron. Irish whip to the other corner. Let's see. Picks up Ron with a scoop slam. From the bottom rope goes Chris with a couple of knee drops. Cover. Kick out before 2. Rear chin lock. Scoop slam. Kick out by Bass. 4-3. Right hand. This time into the gut. I think that was a headbutt a couple of times to the gut. But back comes Bass with a few right hands and lefts. Ooh, elbow over the back of the neck of Chris. Scoop slam by Bass. Ooh, right hand. elbow over the back of the neck of Chris. The managers getting in there are standing on the apron illegally, so Markov gets disqualified right away. So as a result of a disqualification, Ron Bass keeps the TV title. I believe that's Donnie Fargo, the referee, because he looks like Jackie Fargo, the wrestler. Yeah, back then, if you jumped on the apron, it was an automatic disqualification, and it was Lord Alfred Hayes who was the manager. Okay, 16 seconds left of the advertisement here. Sep Bound is the commercial. I'm not really sure what Sep Bound is for, but it's interesting. This may be for the U.S. title. This can be Sergeant Slaughter going against. I'm not sure who that is. Don Kernodle, maybe? Lock up by Slaughter into the ropes. Gets reversed on and back and forth here. Let's see. Slaughter's got his opponent into the ropes. Honestly believe it's Kernodle, but Kernodle just ducked that right hand from Slaughter. Lock up. Side headlock. Ooh. This is a right hand into the face in that headlock. So Don's got his hands up, ready to fight him. Drop toe hold by Slaughter. Goes after both legs of Don. So he's pulling on his hair. The referee just counted, and he's got to count again. Broke at 3. Kicks him in the back. Let's see. Irish whip by Slaughter. Back body drop. Hooks the leg. 2. Kick out. Okay. I'm doing some good strikes, but Sergeant Slaughter's not letting up. He just hit him with a snapmare and a rear chin lock. He just pulled on the tights to reposition him. Somehow he hit it from the referee. He gets back to his feet anyway, does Don. Getting out of it, I think he was trying to go for an armbar, but he gets tripped by Slaughter back down to the mat. Wrist lock by Don. A couple of times. Somebody was asking me why do they do it more than once. I think it's to make it tighter so that their opponent, the idea is to try to get the opponent to submit. Irish, almost an attempt at a shoulder tackle, but he has to go back to the other side. When he ran against Sergeant Slaughter, got turned on him with a scoop slam, then another scoop slam. Can't even kick Slaughter away. Sergeant Slaughter pushes his feet, but that Irish whip was reversed by Don. Hit him with a hip toss, ran to his corner or his rope, ran over to the ropes, tried to hit him with, I think, a thrust. The second time was countered by Slaughter, but I have to see that again to know for certain. Hip toss to Slaughter. Shoulder tackle, it looks like. But he gets thrown. When he comes back to Slaughter, Slaughter catches him, throws his forehead into the turnbuckle pad. Irish whip, clotheslines, Gernodal to the mat. It goes for that camel clutch, I believe. Which I really don't know. Cobra clutch, that's what it is. Because I remember before the NWO came on the scene, and before they had a man paint up his face like Sting, and that's what led to the transformation of Sting from Surfer Sting to Crow Sting. But he used to do this Cobra clutch because he was called Cobra. What he did that was interesting was he put him in a Cobra clutch, he would pick them up and slam them. Today we would call that Dream Street because of Ted DiBiase Jr. using it. Let's see. Looks like he's about to win. He just lets go of it, keeps the belt, keeps the U.S. title, I believe. Oh, he's out there. Show a replay of what just happened. As I see that, it looked more like a shove than anything from Don. Roddy Piper's out there with Ole. So about everybody coming out there, he said them was signed one time, wants to sign their names for a contract for a match with me. You see, I'm just gonna put it simple, mister. I don't blame you for being the favorite because I don't set the style. I am the style. Sergeant Slaughter said.
How can I be a Marine? I am, mister. I am the style. All right, there it is. That's Sergeant Slaughter right here, the U.S. champ. All right, you know everybody around here writes to me and says, how can I be a Marine? I want to be a Marine.
Yeah, Sergeant Slaughter said that all the fans are asking him how to be a Marine. He said, all the wrestlers are asking me, can I be a Marine? He said, well, I find the man right here. He'd like to be a Marine. Let's see. The guy's name is Nelson.
This man says that he wants to be a Marine. Well, let's see just what kind of Marine he can be. Then you get down to do 10 push-ups. 1, 2, 1, 2. Wow, McDaniel. got that? Yes, sir. All right, now why don't you do as I say? I can't hear you, boy. Yes, sir. All right. We're going to tell all over this place, and we're going to... They're dismissed. I'm going to show you what I can do to a boy and make you into a man. All right here. The Russian bear with that chain. Ivan.
He said this whole interview segment was taking a man who was dressed in fatigues and say he's going to make a Marine out of him. Then they bring in Ivan Koloff.
You know, if I was in there with that man, there would be no disqualification. I'd wear him out, his tongue would be hanging out, and I would defeat him. I would take that TV belt away from him.
Ivan Koloff claimed that there'd not be any need for disqualification if he faced Ron Bass because he would have beaten him for the title. So, so it's interesting they ended with that, but they didn't do another show until November 21st, which is the next episode. So I'm going to end right here. Thank you. And I'm going to put out a post in a few days and just want to see what y'all are really interested in. I'm going to put out a post in a few days about what other topics I could talk about. Thank you and goodbye.